Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this hearing. Outside of this building, outside of the bubble that is the United States Congress and its neighborhood, dreamers are wildly popular. And the reason is that they have such a profoundly sympathetic story. It's the American story. As we all know, they were brought here at ages where they made no decision. They had no part in the decision to come here. English is usually the only language they know. America is the only country that they know, and they are part of this great nation, and they make it greater. The more Americans know about dreamers, the more they believe that they should be given a chance at the American dream, which their situation represents. Dreamers and holders of TPS and deferred enforcement are, by and large, really remarkable people, not only for their accomplishments, which are impressive in their own right, but also because they've been able to attain those accomplishments and live day to day in the face of uncertainty and instability. And I have met countless numbers of them that face life with a bravery and strength that is awe-inspiring. I hear incredible stories from dreamers and others all over Connecticut, stories like Evelyn Garcia, a 26-year-old who immigrated to Danbury, Connecticut at the age of 3, grew up undocumented, later received DACA status. Put simply, she embodies the American dream. Evelyn Garcia. In 2017, she graduated summa cum laude from Western Connecticut State University with a degree in biology and community health. And thanks to the benefits provided by DACA, Evelyn was able to pursue various rewarding academic and professional experiences, including prestigious fellowships at places like the Yale School of Medicine and the University of Pennsylvania Perelman School of Medicine. After college, she worked at a research lab at Harvard on a family-centered obesity prevention program for low-income immigrant families enrolled in Head Start in the greater Boston area. She's now a full-time student and presidential scholar at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, where she studied global health and infectious disease epidemiology. I could go on with other stories, and I have on the floor of the United States Senate, and I will do it again, just as Chairman Durbin has done, because the American Dream and the Promise Act will ensure that Evelyn and millions of others like her have the opportunity to continue their lives and make positive contributions to society here in the United States. And it is beyond me why we would do anything other than welcome Evelyn Garcia and her contemporaries and everyone like her with open arms to the United States. So let me ask you, Director Rodriguez, one thing I've heard from opponents of the Dream and Promise Act is that USCIS is not capable of effectively and safely implementing the legislation. You touch on this issue briefly in your testimony, but I'd like you to elaborate because it is an important issue. As a former director of USCIS, can the agency handle the practical challenge of implementing the American Dream and Promise Act?
So if you take the DACA experience, which I think, as I alluded in my oral testimony, was the test case, the pilot, in essence, for implementation of this act, that was, in fact, certainly during my tenure, and I believe since my tenure, one of the most cost-effective adjudication lines at USCIS. It paid for itself. The fees paid by the requesters of DACA status were sufficient to pay for the activity, including the very rigorous background checks. Now, it is the case that USCIS has experienced some pretty significant financial and operational challenges over roughly the last year and a half, maybe a little bit more. Those do need to be addressed. But I am confident, because I have tremendous confidence in the USCIS workforce, including its career managers, that they can remedy those challenges and be able to meet the challenge of implementing this bill.
Senator, may I respond to that?
If the chairman allows you to, my time has expired, but please go ahead.
As a more recent director of or acting director of USCIS, I do not believe right now, without a significant appropriation, which, as you know, is not something that we typically get at USCIS, and with the ability to have at least a year and a half to hire additional adjudicators and to train those adjudicators to handle these types of applications, the agency would simply not be able to handle it. The backlogs continue to grow. Frankly, there's a front log now that continues to grow. We've got to address that first. USCIS must address that first before it could begin to tackle a new application. And I think at the end of the day, what
I hear you saying is that fiscally strangling the USCIS, as the Trump administration did, would have to be reversed.
Senator, you and I had conversations when we were having financial issues, and we've gone through why we had those financial issues when I was there, and it was nothing to do with what the Trump administration had done. It was COVID, and then it was other factors that came in, and I was able to successfully salvage that and to prevent a shutdown that would have frankly eviscerated our ability to handle any immigration adjudication. So, we made the progress that we needed to, but we're still, that agency needs to continue to grow before it can handle something like this. And I just don't think the resources are there in place right now to be able to handle that. And frankly, you're going to see your constituents who are calling you and calling all of you already about long backlog and wait times for adjudications of their petitions. You're going to see that grow exponentially if we add potentially 4.4 million new applications into the pipeline.
And as you know, when we spoke, I'm a strong supporter of resources necessary to do the job. And
absolutely, you and I had great conversations about this. Yes,
Senator,
I want to look forward, provide the resources necessary to do the job here, because America deserves it.
Senator, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there are other members we want to give a chance to speak, but I want to make one point.